Okay, what's your name?
Simon Ruding.
Hi, my name's Charlotte Gascoigne.
My name's Jenny Hughes.
Hello, my name is Patrick Farrell.
My name is Jordan
My name is
Christopher
Rachel Montgomery.
My name is
My name is
Cara Looij.
Hi, my name is Jodie.
My name is David.
Hello, I'm Kate and I've been involved with TiPP since the very beginning.
My name's James Thompson. I'm very proud to have been one of the founders of the TiPP Centre in the early 1990s with Paul Heritage.
I knew James Thompson, who obviously was one of the people responsible for setting it up.
And I ran the organisation through the 90s till Simon took over at the end of 1999.
I met TiPP when I was doing my MA Applied Theatre at Manchester, and essentially I knocked on Simon's door and said, hey, you're not doing a placement this year, but I'd like to work for you.
I've got many happy memories of the amazing work that the colleagues did at that time. One, for example, was taking Jenny Hughes, the current head of drama, on her first ever prison workshop.
I was part of the first group to ever do the Theatre in Prisons course in 1991, I think.
I was lucky enough to get on
The TiPP course in my final year of uni.
And the reason why I chose Manchester was because they offered this course run by TiPP.
So I studied with Simon and Rachel.
Learning a lot about the criminal justice system.
On my residency, I went to HMP Preston.
HMP style.
Going into Strangeways Prison in 1991 and working with a group of men.
And it was pretty much the best course that I did over the 3 years. And it changed my life, really. I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it kind of did.
I was so inspired by that course that
I then went on to shadow Rachel Scott.
To volunteer at another prison on one of their summer arts colleges.
That's for people who have been in YOI, so youth offending institutions.
I note, because I've been doing research into prison theatre, I ran a prison theatre programme from the University of Cape Town.
I work as a musician and I was part of TiPP's Emerging Artist scheme.
I found out about TiPP through the artsjobs.com website.
I got involved with TiPP many moons ago. I crossed paths with the amazing Rachel Scott.
And I was really interested in TiPP because basically I'd never worked in the kind of settings that TiPP go into before.
And kind of learned from the TiPP methodology of participation and engagement.
And trained amongst the very best.
did a postgraduate year with TiPP, I think in the first year of the organisation, and then hung around for a few years.
And the rest is history, as they say.
What is one memory that stands out from TiPP that I can say on camera?
It's a really hard question.
Oh, there's millions.
You can take your time to think about it.
One memory.
When I think back, everything comes to mind, all the little conversations you had, all the moments you had with your group or during the residency.
Things that they'd share, stories that they'd tell us that kind of were
incredible. But I think the thing that will always stick with me from my residency was
I was leading an exercise, and I think it was the first point in our series of workshops.
And I was so nervous. One scene I was doing with one of the women we were working with.
At first they were not getting it, and they were like, why are we making weird noises?
She wasn't really into it.
Eventually
all of the women in the room relaxed, and my co-facilitators relaxed, and I just relaxed because it was a real icebreaker.
A couple of the women clocked that it was sounding a little bit musical and started dancing around in their chairs, and eventually one of them kind of got up and had a bit of a boogie.
And she did this whole really funny routine of she was shaky on her skates and had to go and grab the wall for balance, and it was just amazing.
Once you get over that first hurdle of nervousness, it just feels like you're just delivering any other drama workshop.
She completely upstaged me, but I loved that.
And I was working with one of the people who I'd done quite a lot of sessions with.
It was just like a moment when I stood back and I was watching all the lads in their little groups practicing their ensemble pieces.
We were just playing some music together, and it just felt like a really nice, free, open day.
And I can just remember seeing them laughing and enjoying it and rapping and singing and just having loads of energy and just being really, really engaged in what they were doing.
Doing drama
in 3 days for something they had never done it before, and it became such an important moment for a lot of them, as they said during their sentence.
One of the men was sort of sat on the side drawing. He then spent the entire session and time back in his cell that evening drawing up all these amazing drawings for our set, and I thought that was a pretty amazing way that he got involved.
There was one of the men, I remember I was having a chat with him about being a twin.
Our participants brought down photographs of their family,
and he brought me this little photo book.
It kind of signified that we had gained their trust.
It was cute that he'd kind of remembered that from the evening and then brought it in the morning.
The men that signed up for doing our course got an extra visit from their families.
When one of our participants left a project halfway through because he was released,
and sort of as a kind of reward at the end of it, we got to meet them and they got to come in and see the work that we'd been doing with them.
On that day we had a big sing-song and he told us all these plans that he had to want to be a musician.
I don't think I'll ever see anything quite like it ever again, because we saw this moment of meeting after God knows how long, and it was just so beautiful.
Even if he didn't become a musician, he felt like he could be one, which just showed me just how much TiPP's work means to people.
I think the thing that stands out for me is that there are so many accessible arts programs available.
So one of the challenges that Simon set was to tell a story within kind of 50 words, no more. And one of the guys, he kind of set it up by saying, I'm really sorry I couldn't do it in 50 words, I did it in 57. This young man had reached the age of 24 when Simon and I met him. He'd actually moved between 57 different places.
A project in a hospital school working with vulnerable children. I worked on that with an amazing facilitator called Kate McCoy, who I'm still in touch with now.
Even though I don't work for TiPP anymore, I still consider myself to be a TiPPite.
We were in a workshop working with young people in a pupil referral unit, and one of these young people said something that was quite racist. And what I was really impressed with was how Rachel Scott dealt with this young person's comment.
One of the men there said to me on my final day, "What do you want to do when you finish your course?"
Okay, so why do you think that? What's made you think that? But what about this?
I told him, I said, I'm not sure about what I want to do. I think I want to go into teaching, or I want to go and do something like musical theatre based or whatever. And he said, no. He said, you should probably do teaching. And I said, why is that?
Oh, you're making me think now. Because what Rachel had done is she'd made that young person critically evaluate their own views.
He said, if I had a teacher like you or someone like you in my life when I was younger, I don't think that I would be where I am now. I found that really, really significant in sort of propelling my ambition to be a teacher.
Are the final sharing events where we show people in that place, or staff members or invited guests, what they've been making and what they've been doing.
Seeing the joy and the pride on the faces of all of the men that worked with us when they've done the performance.
It's always amazing to me how in often not a very long period of time, people have made such great stuff but are also willing to share it.
Because they didn't think that they could get up in front of their peers, in front of us, in front of the staff and perform, but they did, and they were really proud of themselves, and it was such a lovely moment.
If you can be creative in response to some of the hardest times and some of the hardest challenges, you have a chance.
And prove that they are creative in some way.
You have a chance to make choice, you have a chance to make change. You can create a version of yourself that you ultimately will become happy with.
I'd
probably say the time that Simon and I were doing some social work role play at MMU, and we were in a simulated apartment, and Simon decided that he would hide in the toilet for the interview, and about halfway through just casually pop out. Safe to say the students' faces were a bit of a picture.
It's hard to pick one particular thing. The end of the prison theatre course.
That's always a really enjoyable marking experience.
Every year I have been incredibly moved and affected by the impact of the residencies and the course.
The students are look and behave and appear very differently on a TiPP course. They get to the parts of an individual's potential that other parts of the degree don't.
I don't think I stopped talking about TiPP for a month after the residency.
I literally never stopped talking about it.
They act as a launch pad for graduates like me.
It's amazing just seeing what people go on to go and do.
It was so much to process and I loved it so much.
Now I think I know that I definitely want to remain doing work with TiPP.
And to be a part of that is and has always been an immense privilege.
TiPP is amazing.
One of the things that I've taken away from the whole experience,
everything that I learned on the course and the module at uni has informed the way that I work, and
they gave me the toolkit that I use in my practice every single day and will continue to use.
Just being able to cope with a changing environment and something that's totally out of my comfort zone, which is incredibly valuable.
What TiPP just shows so perfectly is that we share something, and that is the ability to tell stories. And
if you give people some time, a non-judgmental space,
whether that be giving someone the time to grow in their confidence.
So rather than sort of judging someone's sort of destination and where they are, realising how they get to that place.
There is a way to make this person feel included. There is a way to make this person feel like they can contribute.
They can surprise themselves and you with what they create and what they do.
To explore with people what their imaginations can do for them and for each other in the room, and also for their lives outside the room.
And it's something that I'll definitely carry through with relationships in the future, and sort of just being more open and hopefully kind to other people.
You're bringing that approach to any room that you're working in.
Honestly, it's changed my worldview. I think I had quite like a naive sense of the world before doing that module, and I think I learned a lot out of doing it.
As a result of having worked with TiPP, I've got to go and work with also young people who are like at risk of going further into illegal patterns.
I work in a mental health hospital now, and I do art and drama groups, so I use so many of the skills that I learn in TiPP still now, years later.
So yeah, definitely going forward, it's kind of changed my career path, I think, and life path probably.
I will take forward the use of humour in sessions. I've been working with Rachel Scott, and she uses a brand of humour that I found really interesting. Just the idea of defusing situations.
So on our residency, we were really quite adamant that we were going to incorporate fun into everything that we did.
So now I am an English and drama teacher back in my hometown, and I still use so many of the techniques that they taught me.
I utilise that principle in my day-to-day teaching and running and management of my classroom.
And so many of the drama games are so useful to be able to sort of pull out of the bag at the last minute.
Also just numerous other charities that I could recommend, like Tandem Theatre that are based in Manchester.
My entire career and Tandem Theatre's ethos has originated because of TiPP's practice and its training and its continued support as an arts organisation, a partner in work we have delivered and in mentorship and in support.
I would say that it underpins everything that I've done since, including my role as a lecturer, as a teacher and a researcher.
I've spoken with Simon and the Rachels about this quite a lot over the years. It's about constantly having to adapt and grow and shift and respond.
It has been an extraordinary privilege, it remains an extraordinary privilege to be the director of this organisation. In part because I believe we are making a really profound difference to the lives of the men and women that we work with in the institutions and the kids we work with in the youth justice services, and in part because of the very clear impact that we have on the lives of the students and the new and emerging artists that we work with.
And I guess the relationships that I've built within the organisation, Simon has helped me an awful lot with my practice and defining who I am as a freelancer.
I owe huge amounts to TiPP and what I learned from them. and their support.
Also just like generally being a really good mentor.
From the offset of I was inspired by Simon, whose sort of fun pedagogical approach I found completely inspiring.
I would say some of the training that I got under Simon Reading and the other people that work for TiPP, I would say I still carry those gems today.
I know that if I ever needed any support, they'd be the first people that I would go to.
And what I most love about the work is the values of the organisation, about how TiPP values creativity in everybody.
Like, I've never had people in that kind of position of authority that take like a genuine interest in my progress.
And that's from the prisoners and the people in other places we worked in, and also how TiPP treat the staff who work with them.
So I'm a big fan.
Thank you to TiPP for everything.
So yeah, big up to TiPP. They're amazing. What they do is amazing.
Long may it continue.
Yeah, thanks TiPP.
Big love for TiPP.
The whole team are absolute bad men or good men and women.
And I hope the TiPP Centre has many happy, healthy and successful years ahead.
I love TiPP, the end.